Hi guys, in this video we're going to have a look at how to complete the square. Now we're going to start off really simple by drawing squares and completing them, and then we're going to move on to a far more fluent method with coefficients of x squared and with coefficients of x that don't factorize very easily. So please stay tuned for the whole video because it's going to take you through all the different skills. So completing the square, what that actually means is we're going to have a square that needs completing. Pretty obvious when you think about it. So let me just quickly draw a square and I'll take you through what we need to do. So here we go. Now this first term is x squared, so I like to put that in here, and I think to myself, what multiplies together to make x squared? Well, that's an x and an x. Now this second term is 16x, and I have to put this inside the square as well, but because it's a square they need to be equal length. So I half that number and I put one in there and one in there. So you can see I've got x squared minus 16x just like the question. Now that would clearly have to be minus 8 and minus 8 to give us those cells. Now you should be able to see that there is a cell or a part of this square that's missing and needs completing. And if we complete that we get 64. But here's where the first problem comes. That everything inside this square is no longer what we started with up here. We have this extra 64, so we need to take it away. Now, one way we can write this total area inside is the length of the square multiplied by itself, or squared, because that's how you find the area of a square. But if we do that, we get this extra 64 that we don't want, so we simply take it away. And there is the answer. So you'll find if you expand these that these are both exactly the same. The starter question here and our answer are exactly the same. They're equivalent. Now let's have a look at another one. So here is our first one with a coefficient of x squared. So the first thing we're going to do is factorize for that coefficient. So bear with me, and then we'll have 2 times 2x would give us 4x. So we're going to kind of ignore this 2 at the front and factorize by completing the square for whatever's in the bracket. So here we go again. Let me just draw a square. Oh, that's not a square, but I can make it into one. That's a bit better. So put some lines on it. Now I'm going to fill it in exactly how I did before. So x squared, and that would be x times x. I'm going to split this coefficient here up, so it'll be minus 1x, oops, sorry, and another one, and therefore this needs to be minus 1 and minus 1. And we complete that, we're going to get a 1 in there. So that would give me x minus 1, the length of the square, squared to give me the area, but I've got to take away what I added in when I completed it to make it exactly the same as this bit in the brackets here. However, I'll just grab another colour. We cannot afford to ignore this 2. And technically what it's saying is there should be 2 of these, 2 of those. So we can say that we have 2 of those, and we also have 2 of that. So we can just tidy this bit up. So we'd have 2 lots of x minus 1 squared, take away 2, and that is the answer for the completing the square. Now you may already have known this, but if you look at this number here and this number here, and if I flick back to the other one, we've got this number here and this number here. You'll notice straight away that it should be half, and we were halving it to make the squares equal length. Now this number here is always this squared, the 8 squared, and in the other example we did, this 1 here was always this 1 squared. So that's how we can stop drawing the squares. So we're always halving the coefficient of x, and then we're always taking away whatever that number inside the bracket is squared. So let's go ahead and try and speed things up. So I'm going to factorise for my coefficient of x squared. I'm going to ignore this 5 to start off with and complete the square here. I'm just going to put it there, but just kind of ignore it. So I'm going to half this coefficient of x to give me that, and that's going to be squared. Now I'm going to take away whatever this is squared, because that's what I'll get in that extra cell when I complete the square. So that would take away 4. However, because it's 5x squared, I'm actually going to have 5 of those. So I can finish this off by saying 5 lots of x plus 2 all squared, take away 20. Now let's see if I can find a tricky one. Okay, this one's pretty good, because when I factorise for 2, you'll see why this one's quite interesting. Now 5 is not a multiple of 2, so I'm factorising for 2, essentially dividing it by 2. Now, the fractions automatically make it a bit trickier. Please, please, please do not go into decimals. It's going to make your life far more difficult than it needs to be. So we are going to half this. Now, if you're probably not very fluent at this stage if you're watching this video, so we're going to half it, which is the same as dividing by 2. Now, if this is a fraction, it makes life a lot easier to imagine this one as a fraction, so that's still 2. And when it's divide, you should know that we change this to a multiply and reciprocate. A lot of students say keep, change, flip. So that is the same as 5 halves times 1 half, and therefore 5 quarters. So it'll be 5 quarters, and that will be squared. Now we're going to take away this squared. So it's 2 lots. Oops, sorry, let's just get rid of that. Don't know what happened there. So 2 lots of this times by itself. Now times in fractions, so it'd be 5 quarters times 5 quarters is really simple. You times the tops, so it'd be 25, and then you times the bottoms. Now, this is the same as this, 2 times 25 over 16. Now again, you can imagine it like this, so then you just times the tops times the bottoms. So we're going to have, to finish off, 2x minus 5 quarters, all squared, take away 50 over 16. And that is your final answer for completing the square. So if it's a fraction, if this is not a multiple of the coefficient here, you'll get a fraction, but just take your time, write your fractions out, go through your basic rules so you don't make a mistake. Right, good luck guys.